while in our marriage, we would have disagreements, fights. It could be over money, parenting, sex, all that stuff. And it just kind of became a vicious cycle. And so for me, I would feel disrespected or maybe abandoned, and then feel like a failure, feel like I was screwing up. And that kind of drove me to isolate and just pull back from marriage and go to things that I thought I could be successful at, was work, sports, pornography. And for my wife, that really just, I think for you, how did it make you feel?
Well, fighting as a married couple can be ugly, especially in the beginning. After you get married, everything's all wonderful, everything's happy, and then come the disagreements, which are bound to happen, and that's okay. But it takes a few years to fight well and learn what that really looks like. For us, that has been a difficult journey in learning how both of us work. For
Still
him,
working on it.
still working on it every day, and we've been married almost 20 years. Anybody who's been married any length of time can certainly tell you that it's not an easy journey. For him, it looked like that disrespect cycle, and he would withdraw. And whenever he did that, I felt like I was definitely not measuring up. I felt controlled, and I withdrew myself. The bottom line is we both desired to feel love, but the pain of going through the fighting and the arguing and the triggering of his fears and my fears just led to a lot of ugly.
So we want to give today's episode a big thank you and shout out to Dr. Terry and Sharon Hargrave. They are really the founders of this concept that is called the Pain and Peace Cycle. And this is really a cycle where we help to identify some of our core issues with conflict. And I'm sure all of you watching this, none of you have ever had conflict. But
none at all.
for those of you that have, hopefully today is going to help you learn how to navigate through it in a much healthier way. Now, we started off in the very beginning saying that we really encourage you to have a workbook. You're going to need it for this session. And so if you don't have it, bare minimum, get a pen and paper, but you really need the workbook on this session to be able to fully get the full magnitude of it. So let's jump in. Now, what I want you to do on this very first page is I want you to read through all of the different emotions that are on this page. And I want you to think back to when you and your spouse had maybe your last fight, or the feelings that you often feel when you're arguing, when you're fighting, when you're in having a tiff, or however you want to say it. But what are your predominant feelings when you're in some sort of an argument with your spouse? And so take a moment, read through this whole list, and I want you to circle your 3 to 4 feelings that are your primary feelings when you're in some kind of an argument. So take a second and identify these. So as you go through this list, now what I want you to do is I want you to underline your spouses, okay? So whatever they have circled, I want you to underline these on your page. So your feelings should be circled, your spouses should be underlined. Take a second and underline these. Now what I want you to see, these are your predominant feelings that you feel when you feel unsafe or unloved. And so whether you feel disrespected, whether you feel unsafe, whether you feel like a failure, whatever these feelings are, these are your core feelings that you're feeling in those moments when you feel unsafe or unloved.
And when we're saying unsafe, not so much physically unsafe, but more emotionally unsafe.
Exactly. Now, do me a favor, turn to page 2. And on this list, this is going to be our coping behaviors. These are going to be our reactions, our behaviors that we tend to do when we feel the way we did on page 1. So once again, I want you to take a moment, read through this entire list, circle the 3 or 4 that are your primary coping behaviors that you feel the way, once again, from that previous page. Whether you get angry, whether you rage, do you isolate, do you turn to an addiction, whatever it may be. Take a second, circle your 3 or 4, and then underline your spouses on your sheet. Take a second, complete this. So now that you've got yours circled and your spouses underlined, what I want you to see here is that these are your primary emotions and your primary coping behaviors that quite often you brought with you into marriage. These are things quite often from our background, from our history, from our family of origin, part of our story. But the key is we quite often brought these with us into marriage. Why is that important? Because what it means is changing your spouse doesn't change these feelings and these behaviors. So often we think if I just found a different person, if I found the right person, I wouldn't feel this way or I wouldn't act this way. And that's simply not true. Changing your spouse does not change these core behaviors or these core feelings. So now I want you to go to the next page. And on this page, what we're going to begin to do is we're going to begin to complete our pain cycle diagram. So at the very top there, you're going to see your emotions. These are going to be your emotions that you had circled from page 1. And I want you to fill those in there. Then just to the right of that, you're going to see this block as your core behaviors. Those are the ones that you have circled from page 2. Then underneath that at the bottom are going to be your spouse's emotions. Those are going to be the ones that you had underlined from page 1. To the left of that, those are going to be your spouse's behaviors from that you had underlined from page 2. So now take a minute and fill in this diagram for us. Okay, now that you have this cycle, your pain cycle written in and filled in, what I want you to do is I want you to draw an arrow from your feelings at the top to your coping behaviors to the right. Then I want you to draw another arrow from your behaviors to your spouse's feelings. And then another arrow from your spouse's feelings to their coping behaviors. And then a last arrow from your spouse's coping behaviors to your feelings. And what I want you to see is this is quite often the cycle that we get into. This is our pain cycle, and it can start anywhere. Either one of you, when you begin to feel whatever those feelings are, it often triggers your pain cycle, which gets you to act those coping behaviors a particular way. Those actions often make our spouse feel the way that they have listed there, which then triggers their pain cycle and their negative coping behaviors. And what you see is this negative spiral.
We call it the crazy train.
The crazy train. And Amy and I rode this for 15 years.
Way too long.
Way too long. Mm-hmm. And so I think most of you are probably looking at this going, oh my goodness, this is us to a T.
So us, yeah.
It happens all the time. But here's what I want you to see. There is an internal emotion and there's an external reaction. And here's what I mean by that. Those negative coping behaviors, if we're being real honest, those almost always just tick us off. Okay, if I'm getting angry, if I'm getting rageful, if I'm getting defensive or critical, which sadly tend to be some of my negative coping behaviors, that makes Amy feel a particular way. And if all we do is look at those behaviors, it triggers those feelings in us. And those external reactions, they always make us upset. But yet, if we can look backwards, if we can, instead of just focusing on those negative coping behaviors, instead go, what are they feeling? Mm-hmm. Because those feelings, when Amy feels like a failure, or she feels inadequate, or she feels like she's not measuring up, that breaks my heart. That breaks my heart. I don't ever want her to feel that way. Now, when she reacts to it, when she begins to withdraw, when she begins to get sarcastic or whatever it may be, those things make me upset. So if all we do is focus on their behaviors, we're going to continue to perpetuate this pain cycle. But if we can stop, break the cycle, look deeper and go, wait a minute, I don't like the way they're acting, but why are they acting that way?
Yeah.
And they're acting that way because they feel this way. And when we can focus on that, it actually gives us much more sympathy and empathy to be able to now rescue their heart. And so those external actions, they make us upset. But those internal emotions, they often break our heart. And so, babe, what does this look like for you in your pain cycle?
Yeah, absolutely. So if Trey approaches me and I can tell he's not happy about something or is upset, one, I first go to defensive. So I'm going to come back at him and I'm going to kind of be like, I didn't do that. That's not exactly what I was feeling. Or I'm going to start shaming myself. It kind of goes back to my agreement that I'm not capable. I can't believe I did that. And so I begin to shame. And ultimately, what I end up doing is I withdraw to avoid. What I'm basically trying to do is I'm going to shut down that argument. I'm done with it. So I'm going to remove myself, but not in a good way.
So what does it look like for us to begin to break that pain cycle?
Yeah, absolutely. So basically, I consider it like a check engine light. When I begin to feel these emotions, I have to look deeper and going, what's going on inside of me? And the same with you. When I begin to see those emotions arising in you, I have to stop and not take it personally and go, okay, what's going on deeper here?
That's right. And so there is a way to begin to break this cycle and begin to turn it completely around.
Yeah.
And this is where I want you to flip to the next page, because now we're going to begin to build our peace cycle. And this is where I want you to read through this list here. And once again, these are going to be truths that you're going to begin to speak over yourself that refute the emotions that you would feel on page 1. So if you felt unloved, remind yourself, tell yourself, no, I am loved. If you felt disrespected, no, I am respected. I am valued. And so find the words on there that refute those emotions from page 1 and circle them there on page 4. And then once again, when you're done, underline your spouses. So circle yours and underline your spouses. Take a second and let's complete this. So now that you have your peace truths circled in your spouse's underline, let's turn to page 5. And on page 5 there, now what I want you to do are these going to be your new peace behaviors, the positive behaviors that you're going to choose to do when you're choosing to believe the truths from the previous page. So read through here. If before you would withdraw, you're going to choose to engage. If before that you would get critical or argumentative, instead here, you're going to choose to be peaceful and engage. So I want you to take a second, read through this list, circle your 3 to 4 new positive behaviors, and then once again, underline your spouses. Take a second, let's complete this. Good. Now that you have that done, now I want you to turn to the next page. And here we're going to begin to complete our peace cycle. So up at the top, these are going to be your new peace truths that you wrote down from page 4. Then to the right of that, these are going to be your new positive behaviors from page 5. At the bottom, these are going to be your spouse's truths that you had underlined on page 4. And then next to it, that's where you're going to have your spouse's positive behaviors that were underlined on page 5. And so take a minute and begin to fill in this diagram.
Yeah, and I love how 2 Corinthians 5:17 says, if anyone is a new creation, the old has gone and the new has come. So what we want you to see here on this peace cycle is you have the ability to take away those old patterns, the way that you used to respond to
Yeah.
one another, and replace them with positive, with your peace cycle. So now when I'm feeling shamed or defensive, I actually can come back and I'm saying, no, I'm valued. I can make good choices. I am capable. And so that's what we want you to see here is that you don't have to live in that crazy train. You don't have to live that way that you have done for so long. There is something that God has to offer better, and you have a choice that you can walk in that.
That's right. And so, what I also want you to do, take these pages, take the first cycle, your pain cycle, and take your second cycle, the peace cycle. Make copies of them. Put them up around your house. Put them on your bathroom mirror. Put them up on the refrigerator.
Staple them to your forehead.
Staple them to your forehead, not your spouse's, but your own, okay? But make sure that these are somewhere that you're gonna see them on a regular basis. Remind yourself of what this pain and peace cycle looks like so that you can remember these things when you're in conflict. Because if we're being honest, if we look at those 2 pages, it's clear. We don't like living in that pain cycle, yet so many times we live in it for years, sometimes even decades. That peace cycle looks really good. And sometimes we question if it's even real. Can we actually have a marriage and a relationship like that? And the answer is yes, you can. It is doable. Last thing, how long have you lived in that pain cycle? And for us,
For a long time.
it was like 15 years. Here's what I want you to hear. That pain cycle, if you feel disrespected, you feel unloved, you feel unheard, whatever it may be, what that is often uncovering are some deep, deep agreements.
Yeah.
And so if you've been in that pain cycle for years, sometimes even decades, what that's really uncovering are some deep agreements that you believe about yourself, your spouse, or your marriage. And so if you need to go back and break some agreements here, do it. You will find freedom, peace, and healing.
Absolutely. Let's close in prayer. Jesus, we are so thankful that we're new creations, and we're so thankful that you've called us into a better way. And so we pray today to walk more in peace than we do in our pain. And so, Lord, thank you for offering that peace to us. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you.
Well, this session is something that Amy and I, we battled this for about 15 years.
So many years.
So many years. We called it the crazy train,
Yeah.
where we just rode this cycle. We rode this crazy train and not even understanding that it was really just our pain cycle,
Yeah.
but we rode that train over and over and over again.
Relentlessly.
We somehow had got a frequent flyer card, but this is something that when we begin to understand this, we're not alone.
Yeah.
And frankly, all of us ride this crazy train. All of us have a pain cycle that we experience and kind of work through, or frankly, so many people don't work through it. They
Mhm.
live in it perpetually. And so, what does this look like for you guys? What does this pain cycle look like in real life?
Yeah, so I think my pain cycle has changed a little bit from when we were early on in marriage to where we are now, and even um, my feelings of pain. Early on, I would get, um, I would feel unloved or something like that, and now it's more disrespected or something. So it's kind of evolved and changed. But we were just talking like how our arguments have kind of changed once we've learned this, and we're not perfect. Like we still get on the crazy train sometimes, like it's unavoidable. But we would have an argument, and it would last 30 minutes, and we would get to the end of it, and everybody was still ticked off. Nothing was resolved. We still felt, the same way as if we hadn't even had it. And so we were just going around and around and around. And then eventually I feel like we would just kind of stop because like we both were like, this isn't working. We're not getting anywhere, And now, even if a similar issue gets brought up, like we're much quicker to get that argument, I don't say over with, but we can identify that we're getting ready to go on this cycle, and we try to stop it. Um,
Yeah, I mean, I feel like, you know, we would have these reoccurring arguments over and over again, and a lot of them were like, um, I had asked Nick to do something and it didn't get done, and so my pain cycle would often be like, he doesn't hear me. I'm alone in this." And so in response, I would like shut down, or I would like find faults in you,
Mhm.
and it was this vicious cycle, and you can literally get stuck in it. Like it's like you're on tumble in the dryer, and it just goes on forever.
Mhm.
And until, we have really, we had to come together and like really speak again to ourselves and say, well, this isn't who Nick is. And you have to pull yourself out of that pain cycle.
Yeah, and I think the earlier you can identify it when you're in a disagreement or an argument, kind of the quicker you can pump the brakes on it, and it still creeps up on you. It's not something that's instant. And what that looks like is we're having an argument, and it's identifying her true feeling or what's making her feel that way versus she's just angry at me because I didn't do something,
Yeah. Well, the
and
feelings are real, but they don't reflect the truth.
yeah,
That's, yeah.
and Trey, I don't know if you covered this in your teaching, but um, you said something along the lines of the true feeling breaks our heart. Tell us what that is.
Yeah, the pain cycle, the pain behaviors, our
Mhm.
negative coping behaviors, they almost always tick us off.
Mhm.
But the core feelings, what our spouse is feeling in those moments, often breaks our heart.
Yes, absolutely.
So what was your actual pain cycle? What are you guys feeling in those moments when you're fighting, there's an argument?
Yeah.
What are you actually feeling in those moments?
To me, I have three or four. I mean, some of it was disrespected, some of it was hopelessness, and a lot of the hopelessness was more along the lines of like, she's always going to be this way, or even if we talk through this fight, it's not going to matter. It's going to keep happening. And so, I would almost feel, I don't know if numb is the exact word, but I would withdraw. And a lot of times I'd apologize just to kind of get it over with,
Mhm.
Mm.
and so I would just kind of numb out and just say, okay, everything's good. And then it would just ongoing.
Yeah. And then I would shut down in response to that.
Yeah.
So what were you feeling in those moments?
So my pain cycle is the feelings of being devalued, isolated, and discouraged.
Mhm.
And so in response to those, I tend to shut down and avoid confronting issues and look for faults.
So so often these agreements, excuse me, the pain cycle
Mhm.
is actually uncovering agreements,
Absolutely.
especially if it's something that we find ourselves in, pretty commonly, or
Mhm.
something that's been going on for years.
A theme of sorts.
A theme
Yeah.
that's often uncovering agreements.
Mhm.
And so what are some of those agreements that are actually at the base of this pain cycle for you guys?
I mean, um, I think really and I keep saying hopelessness, but almost like she is always going to be this way.
Mm.
And I think that was an agreement, that she's always going to be nagging, or she's always, even if I do these things, is she really going to feel gratitude for it, or should it have just been done? So I think for me, it was like she was always going to be this way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I think it is a very deep agreement. Like back to whenever I said, my agreement is Nick is lazy. So therefore, whenever I ask him to do something, he's not going to do it. I feel like I'm in this by myself. I have to do it all by myself. I don't feel valued because I'm asking him to do something and he's not doing it. So that reflects like almost my worth. Like, okay, well, I'm choosing not to do this because I don't love Emily or whatever. But I know that's not the truth. It's just how I feel towards it.
Yeah. And that really is what this pain cycle is often uncovering, are
Mhm.
some of those deep agreements that are really in there,
Mhm.
but they come out through this pain cycle.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
How about you guys?
Um, pain cycle looks like a couple of different things, but it ties back to agreements, right? And if you remember from earlier, one of my agreements is that I will always let Tiffany down.
Mhm.
So if I'm working on something for her, and it comes up short somehow, I can spiral. Um, I'll start feeling discouraged. I'll feel like I'm a failure, like I'm not measuring up, and ultimately that means I'll not feel connected. A silly example, really, when we look back at it, is um, Tiffany wanted cabinet hinges that didn't slam.
Who doesn't?
And so I bought her a bunch of them, and I went, and they didn't work. So I returned them, and I bought a bunch more, and they didn't work. And I went through this about 3 times, and it wasn't working. And she kind of said, "Well, don't worry about it, son. You'll figure it out one of these days." And to me, it's not what she meant, but to me, that was like, "Yeah, you failed at this. Let's just move on." And I really started to spiral over something as silly as some cabinet hinges. And I don't know where that puts you exactly, but it really put her in a bad spot because she wanted them, but she also didn't want me to continue to feel discouraged and to start again and fail again and start again and fail again. So I think she was trying to let me off the hook, but by doing that, it really told me that she didn't think I could get it done.
So when you felt that way, how did you begin to act? What do you do in those moments?
Oh, I shut down. I start with self-shaming. Like, you let her down. But I'll also get defensive. Like if she brings something like that up, it'll be like, I can't believe you don't believe in me. Yeah, you know I can do this. Why don't you think I can do this? And I will start to argue with myself. And she'll even say to me, you're having this whole argument with yourself. You know that, right? But I will also try to minimize it. Hey, it's not that big a deal. It's just I'll do all these things and even intellectualize. I'll start to explain exactly the way these cabinets are built. It's not made for these kind of hinges. It's really a difficult thing. And whoever the builder was didn't know what the heck he was doing. And again, that happens sometimes. And so he's really made this hard for me. Right. So it's almost like making excuses as I try to intellectualize it away. And it puts her in a rough spot.
Well, yeah, because when I'm saying to him, "Hey, it's okay, we'll just figure it out later," or whatever, and he's not hearing that, he's hearing something different, and then he starts going down that road, then I'm like, okay, I don't know what to say because you're not hearing my words. They're going through a filter and getting twisted. So then I withdraw and I'm like, okay, I don't know. I don't know what to do here. So then I just stuff it all down and avoid the whole situation.
Yeah.
And, we don't go anywhere.
And then we get disconnected, right? We both feel disconnected.
Yeah, we both feel disconnected.
And the key with that is that those coping behaviors, whether we get defensive, whether we're fighting with ourselves, withdrawing, those things always make our spouse upset. And here's the thing, rightfully so. Those are not healthy behaviors. But when we can really peel back the onion, or lift the hood up on the car and really do the check engine, what's really going on inside, the way they're feeling breaks our heart.
Yeah.
Those ways that we're feeling. I don't ever want my spouse to feel like a failure, feel like they can't come through for me. Those things break our heart, but we often just park at the actions on the top. So, Jackson, let me ask you this. What's it look like for you, and how do you begin to shift this and move to the peace cycle? Because there is a better way.
Yeah. Well, one of my deep agreements was that I was a burden. And so one of my pain cycles is that I feel disconnected. And so when I'm not opening up to him, I'm disconnecting from him on my own. And then I will isolate myself and feel even more disconnected. So a few weeks ago on our date night, I was feeling disconnected at our date night. And instead of isolating and getting defensive and just like stewing about it, I brought it to him and tried to bring it into the light. And I think that started your pain cycle.
Because like we talked about, one of my agreements was Hannah has really bad timing. So obviously that's a lie. The timing of which this got brought up was at the end of the date night when you're going to have sex. And so instead of, the fun part, I had my wife bring her heart to me, which at the moment I started to get really upset. But I knew enough from all the growth we've done that I cannot explode right now. I cannot get mad,
Mm.
say nothing, just sit with it long enough to think because of how I used to react
Yeah.
and how that would make her shut down even more and feel like I'm not a safe space. So, I had a week where I was already feeling insecure and like I wasn't measuring up in some areas of my life. So when my wife brings to me at the end of a date night, hey, I don't really feel connected to you right now. I heard you're not even measuring up as a husband. And so that started me getting defensive internally. I was trying really hard not to say anything out loud. But just like she identified her pain cycle and chose to bring it to me, I realized, and this has gotten easier over time, when I'm that worked up about something, I know something's there, agreement, a wound. And so I just asked Hannah, I just need a few minutes to go take this to the Lord. And I mean, it was like 1 minute. And I just asked the Holy Spirit, like, what is this?
Yeah.
And he just showed me, your wife is pursuing you because she wants to feel connected. And she cares about your heart because she's asking, hey, what's going on? You feel like you're in your head, or I feel like you're in your head. And immediately it shifted for me from frustration and defensiveness to, oh my gosh, she just wants to connect with me. I'm so like, she's amazing.
Yeah.
And so then I re-engaged and pursued her. And the rest of the night was really, really good.
Yeah. Better than before.
Better than before.
And you bring up such a good point because you said if it hits a wound or if it's an agreement, it just kind of explodes. And the analogy I always like to use is if I, kind of thump my arm, it hurts, but on a scale of 1 to 10, it's a 1 or a 2. I mean, I feel it, but it's not intense. But if I was to take my knife and cut my arm and then flick it, now it's a 9 or a 10.
Yeah.
That existing wound now makes something small, stupid, insignificant, really significant. And I can't tell you how many fights we had, and we would even look back and go, that was over something stupid. Well, guess what? Because it wasn't about the stupid thing.
Yeah.
It was actually about the underlying wound or that agreement that it was actually touching on.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Like, you both brought up something, you both said something that, Tiffany, you were like, I said something, but John heard this.
Yes.
And Hannah, you said, Hannah said something, but I heard this. And Nick has done the same thing. Like, I have said something, but he heard I'm a bad dad, like, and that,
Yeah.
is that stemming from their agreements?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And that's what I feel like that's what put you three in a pain cycle. You heard something that we didn't say, you just took it that way.
Which this is, and this kind of goes along, there are some gender biases here again. What I will tell you is most men, some of our feelings are often feeling like a failure and feeling disrespected. Those are two of very, very common. Doesn't mean every single guy, but I will tell you it's very common. Ladies, what do you think are some of yours?
Isolation,
Isolation,
Unloved.
devalued.
unloved, devalued. Ephesians 5. Husbands, love your wives as Christ loves the church. Wives, respect your husbands.
Yeah.
There is this, we're not as unique as we think we are. we are all made in the image of the same God. We are all made with hearts that were created for love. We all live in the same fallen, broken world, and we all have the same spiritual enemy. And a lot of us battle with all the same things. And when I first, frankly, kind of came to that realization, if I'm being real candid, it pissed me off.
Yeah.
Because there was part of me, I'm unique, I'm special. And that even my pain was special.
Yeah.
And when I first realized, no, I'm really not all that special and I'm definitely not that unique, like I said, it made me upset. But the more that I began to accept it, it was freedom. And it was actually healing, going, it's not just me. It's not just us.
Yeah.
And there really is, we're not alone.
Yeah.
So how have you guys begin to implement your peace cycle?
I think it's like I said, the sooner you can identify that it's not, or that it is an agreement, or that what she is truly feeling, and it's not just the emotions flying, then you can jump into the peace cycle. And I feel like, I don't want to say you have a split second to do it, but the longer you stay in that pain and just jump in the cycle, it's almost harder to get off.
Yeah.
And we were kind of talking like, do you call a timeout? Like, like literally like, all right, timeout, let's talk through this. And I've had friends, we've tried this before, like, hey, we know we're arguing, like, can we just stop and pray for a second? Like, even just like, because it's hard to keep yelling at each other when you're holding hands praying, right? So maybe just that, and maybe it's just 10-15 seconds of that prayer together that maybe lowers the emotions and allows you to maybe identify their true feeling, or let the Holy Spirit lead you to, hey, she's really feeling this way. And we know before that breaks your heart when she feels that way.
Yeah. So good.
Mhm.
How about you guys? What does your peace cycle look like?
Well, now because I understand John's agreements, and that this is the pattern that we were on for so long, and rather than just me avoiding and walking on eggshells and all of that, I recognize when that it is, and I'll be like, "Do you feel like you're letting me down?" And because you're not, and sometimes he'll stop and he'll be like, "Yeah, you're right. That's how I was feeling." And I'm like, "You're not letting me down. It's not even a thing." And it really, I think it helps you kind of capture it and stop it right then.
She
Right?
started that. Yeah, it really helps. And so now I'll do it myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll be in something. I said, I feel like I'm going to let you down here. And she can tell me, no, you're not. Or she can even say, you're not going to let me down, but I would like to see this.
Yeah.
Help me adjust to where I can feel like I'm going to win and I'm going to come through for her. And when she does that, it does so many things for me. I feel loved and I feel respected and I feel valued. All of those things that I didn't feel in the pain cycle, it turns into something that becomes relationship building instead of relationship damaging. And it can be a really beautiful thing.
Yeah.
So walk me through, what is that internal conversation? Because you can go from arguing internally, or you can go to speaking truth internally.
Yeah, I apparently have a lot of conversations with myself.
Me too.
But yeah, because if she takes that small step, it wasn't easy to take it first, but when she takes that small step to tell me that I'm not letting her down and to explain how she's really seeing things, well, it calms me. Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to feel loved and to feel valued when you're on edge and you're getting upset, right? But those things calm me, and then I can feel truth. And when I feel those truths, then I can have that conversation with, like, come on, John, you're good at this stuff. So it's a challenge. You face lots of challenges. In the end, you'll even feel better about it because it was so hard to do.
Yeah.
Now the cabinets are done, and how are they?
Amazing.
And it was something that had to get done. It's just something she desired, and so it was even better. But I go through this peace cycle, and I feel way better about it because of the way she treated me through it and the way she taught me through it. And then I talked to myself. And then one weekend she was out of town, and I did it, and she came on and was totally surprised by it. And it's I don't know how many attempts it was. It was a lot of attempts. But if you want to know how to soften your cabinets, I can give you lots of options.
Well, but I also feel that agreement still has too much power, because it makes that association of letting me down going straight back to the infidelity, right? And so that's why, again, I have started trying to pray God's truths over to him, who he is, because he's not the same man now. He is, he has changed, and his mind has been renewed, and the thoughts he has, and just everything. He forgets that sometimes, that you can't set the bar for perfection for yourself, because we're human. We're going to make mistakes quite often, and so my prayer is truly that he will someday be free from that completely. And it'll just be, oh man, I screwed that up, and move on down the road, because that's true freedom.
And that's the power. That's that power that we have to begin to identify that pain cycle, break the agreements, and begin to speak that truth.
Yes.
Because what I can tell you is the peace cycle works, and it's so much better, but it will never fully work if we don't break the agreements. It just won't. And part of this, fellas, do any of you guys, so we often feel disrespected or feel like failures. Do any of us go to anger? Like, is anger one of our negative coping behaviors?
Yes.
Okay. I will tell you it is. Or how about shutting down and withdrawing? Okay. Ladies, how many of you, and it may come out in a little different wording, but if you feel unloved, you get in your pain cycle, somehow, some way you go to control or you shut down.
Yeah.
Okay.
Fair to
Overwhelmingly.
say, yeah.
What I will tell you is this is very gender biased and it comes out through our pain cycle.
Yeah.
Men were made to feel strong. And so when we feel weak in whatever way, we go to one of two places. We either go to anger or we shut down. And we often go to anger. Anger is the default emotion for men. What is anger? When a guy's voice goes up, volume goes up, an octave comes down, chest puffs out, whatever it is. Anger is nothing more than our way of trying to feel strong because somewhere we feel weak. Now, don't misunderstand me. I'm not condoning it, not excusing it. It's ruined a whole lot of marriages and put a lot of men in prison. So I'm not downplaying it. But all it really is at the core is our way of trying to feel strong, or we shut down and retreat. Ladies, when you feel weak, and it's usually weakness by being unloved, not feeling safe, you go to control or you shut down. And control is the overwhelming, that negative coping behavior, if you will, that's the default for most women.
Yeah.
And the two play off of each other. Because if we don't feel strong, we get angry or shut down. It makes you feel unsafe, not loved, not pursued, leads you to control or shut down, which emasculates us. And it just continues this vicious cycle. You're not alone. And so beginning to understand those things of the heart and work through them. And once again, break the cycle, go back, speak God's truth over yourself and over your spouse. It changes everything. Changes everything.
Yeah.
And then we begin to actually live in peace.
Absolutely.
That's the beauty.
And sometimes it only takes one person in that moment
Yes.
to say the prayer or to enter into your peace cycle. Galatians 6:9 tells us, do not grow weary of doing good, for in due time we'll reap a harvest. And that's probably going to be seen in your marriage. But even if it's not happening with your spouse, it's going to reap fruit in your own heart.
Yes.